What if you were watching One Piece, but everything was the opposite? Yeah, what if the Straw Hats were the opposite of who they are? For example, Zoro. Instead of always getting lost, he now never gets lost, and he always knows the way. Yeah, no more of Zoro just wandering off or getting lost when people literally point to where he should go. And especially no more ending up in literally different animes. Now he's basically Google Maps with swords. Yeah, he'd seriously be the most overpowered navigator ever. He could literally take the crew straight to Laugh Tale since he always knows the way to everything. But Nami, instead of being a navigation pro, she's now absolutely terrible at navigation. She just never knows her way and always gets lost. Yeah, she's basically the old Zoro 2.0, which means that with Nami as the Straw Hats navigator, they would be doomed. She'd sail them straight into an iceberg or a literal marine base without even realizing it. And just like the old Zoro, Nami would just be wandering away. And even if you literally point her in the right direction, she would still go the wrong way. But she wouldn't just always get lost, she would also be ugly. Yeah, everyone thought the old Nami was super hot. Remember at Water 7 when everyone was just drooling over her and she posed for her first bounty photo just because the photographer said she could be a model? Well, not anymore. Because Nami is now super ugly and no one simps for her anymore. Not even Sanji. But talking about Sanji, he's up next. Because you know how obsessed he was with women, right? Yeah, well, he's now obsessed with men. Yup, instead of drooling over Nami and Robin, he's now fainting every time Zoro takes his shirt off. Although yeah, that would absolutely piss Zoro off all the time. Anyway, Sanji being obsessed with men is a real problem for the crew. Why? Well, because if Sanji comes up against a man, it's game over. Because just like how the old Sanji would never lay a hand on a woman, the opposite Sanji would never lay a hand on a man. So that means that the Straw Hats just lost one of their strongest fighters, as he wouldn't have fought against Queen, King, Virgo, Jabra, or any of the men he came up against. Although he would have absolutely wrecked Black Maria and Khalifa. Oh, and let's not forget, if Sanji ever ends up surrounded by buff, shirtless dudes, he'd probably straight up die from getting such a huge nosebleed. But let's move on and talk about Usopp. And instead of being a total liar, he can now only tell the truth. Yeah, you know how he's been saying that he's the true captain of the Straw Hats? Or how he's got 8,000 followers and that he's taken down a giant goldfish? Well, now he can't say those things, as every word that comes out of his mouth is 100% true. So he would instead say things like, I know I'm the weakest on the crew and a complete crybaby at times. But honestly, that's actually a really good thing. Because now, everyone would believe everything he says. For example, when he screamed, "Pirates are coming!" at Syrup Village, everyone would now be running, as they know everything Usopp says is the truth. Next up, the former dumbest character in One Piece, Luffy, as he's now the smartest character in the entire series. Yup, this guy wouldn't eat poisonous fish, he wouldn't fall for Crocodile's super obvious trap, and he absolutely wouldn't ask a literal zombie tree and a zombie unicorn to join the crew. That said, if Luffy was a genius, he would also be way weaker. Wait, what? You might have thought that a genius Luffy would be even stronger, but nope. Because seeing as Luffy is, well, an idiot and doesn't think, he does things